All right, good morning, friends. This is Dennis Miracle. I'm going to be working on Crazy Quilt block number 8 this morning, and actually it's 12:41, so I guess it's not this morning. It's this afternoon. You can see the dimensions. You can see the number of stitches this has. You can see the block itself. It's really pretty. I'm really proud of it. I think it's going to sew out be very beautiful. So I've already run the first step, which is just this is an 8x8 design for the 8x8 hoop, or a hoop that will accommodate an 8x8 design, and which I am using an 8x8 brother hoop. So it has sewn out the perimeter of the design, step number one. Step number two is I'm going to put my batting over the design and let it stitch that down, and I'll be right back. Okay, this just as a side note, I believe I cut this square 9.5 by 9.5, so you can see that the design is a little more than 7.5 inches squared. So you need to add just a inch and a half or so, maybe 9-inch square block of batting. So I generally add maybe 2 inches on. So like I say, I think I cut this 9.5 by 9.5 square. Anyhow, just whatever's large enough to go at least a half inch over the exterior dimensions of your design. So that was number 2 step. Number 3 step, as you can see here, is going to sew down all of the placement lines for the various pieces of cotton fabric. So let's go ahead and stitch that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, you can see that the placement lines have been placed, sewn down, so we'll know where to place our fabric. And I wasn't happy with the way I did the last number 7, I think it was. This is number 8. But from now on, starting with this one, I'm going to do all of my, like the first 3 of these steps that we've done will be the same. And then starting with the 4th step, it will be the placing of the fabric. And then after we placed all the pieces of the fabric, which are generally anywhere from 6 to 9 pieces of fabric, then they'll be go back and do all of the fills for the fabric. And after the fills are done, I'm going to do the pretty crazy quilt stitching on the seams, and then finish it up with the last 3 steps, which are the same in every one of these I've made, I think. And so if you can make this one, you can make any of them forthcoming, because I plan to stick to this. I think it's the best way of doing these. So anyhow, let's look over to our machine and find, you see where we're going to go for the first piece of fabric, right down here. And this is a little out of ordinary. I generally start at the top left-hand corner, so I'm working, I just finished this morning block number 19, so this block was probably done about a month or 6 weeks ago, before I had my stuff together, you might say, and I determined how I wanted to do things. So, but generally I'm going to be starting up here in the top left corner, but for whatever reason, I'm starting down here today. So anyhow, it doesn't really matter, I don't suppose. But let me find a piece of fabric that will go over that, and we'll tack it down and start our beautiful quilt, or a beautiful quilt block. Okay, you can see I've placed a piece of fabric over that area, so let me sew it down, and then I'll do the trimming and show you how I trim it. Alrighty, you can see that I came in right here, cut straight across, right up against the stitching, and down, and straight off. So that's the way. We always want to make sure we leave at least a half inch out here in what I call the margin, which is the part outside of the design. And although if you've watched any of my prior videos, you'll see that sometimes I don't quite do that, but that is my intent. So anyhow, let me look and see. Okay, we're going to do this big piece right here. So let me find a piece of fabric for that, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see probably even on this camera through this cheap piece of cotton fabric. So I've got another piece over here. I'm just going to place it over the same. I've placed it over, and I'm going to just use two layers so you can't see through. So let me put this in the machine and let it be sewn down, and then I'll be trimming it. Be right back. All right, you can see the two pieces of fabric have been sewn down, and they don't actually touch the exterior. Well, kind of this little edge does here. So I'm going to come in and make a pie-shaped little piece right here, and cut right up through here, cross there, and well, and off. And then I'm going to come in here and cut like this. Like I said, I'm going to leave a little pie-shaped piece here in the margin. So let me do that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I left a little pie-shaped piece down here, and I may need to just do a little more cutting right here just to get rid of this little tiny portion. But I came this way, across here and off, and then came in here and down like this. So that's piece number 2. Let's see where we're going next. Okay, we're going right down here. So let me find a piece of fabric for that, and I'll be right back. All right, you see I've placed this little kind of thin piece there over that bottom left-hand corner slice. So I'm going to sew it down, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see that has been sewn down. I'm going to come in right here, straight up, go up through here, and cut right off the edge here. And I'm going to leave this as it is, leave this as it is. So that'll take care of number 3 piece of fabric. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I had to go away for a bit, and now I'm resuming. I see we're on step 7. I have found a piece of fabric to put over. Let me see. That's where that's where we're next going to place fabric. Right there where you see, I'm going to place my fabric over that. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to run this and trim it, and I'll show you when it's trimmed. Okay, here is the piece I just put in. You see that I came in straight in and cut right along here, right here, and then down here and cut straight off. So let's see where our next piece is. Okay, it is this piece right here. So let me find something to cover that, and I'll sew it down, and I'll be right back. Okay, you see where I have placed this piece here, the light blue, and I came in straight off, cut around this circular part, straight up, took a left, and went straight off. So let's see where our next piece is. It is this piece right here. So let me find something to go there. All right, you see up here that I came straight in here. And actually I didn't come straight, I came at an angle because I put the fabric at an angle and cut down through here around the circle. And then I did go off straighter this way. And so we're going to be going to the next piece here, which is right here. And let me find the appropriate piece for that, and I'll show you how it's put down. Okay, you see how I have come in straight here, down here, and then just like this and straight off, leaving this nice area here in the margin. And then we've got one more piece right here. Well, no, we've got two pieces, but this is the next piece. So I will take care of that and be right back. Okay, you see how I came in straight here, and then cut along here, and straight off. And then we've got this last piece, which I'm going to place this piece of orangish color over and run that, and then I'll be trimming that. All right, now you see our piecing is finished, and I'm going to now start running the next phase, which, as I say, I'm going to do from now on with all of these designs. These in the hoop quilting designs, patchwork quilt designs. We're going to start doing the fills for after the piecing part, we're going to do the fills. And I'm only going to do the fills on, I'm not going to do the fill on this one or this one up here. So I'm going to skip those two, but there are beautiful fills for every single one of these pieces of fabric. So the next thing is the pretty little embellishment in the center here. So that's our next thing to run. So let me do that and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, this pretty little emblem has a couple jumps in it. One right here, I think that's one, yeah, and one right here. So I'm going to take and trim those. Those are the only jumps that I could see in there. And so let me do that, and then I'm going to run the next one is going to be the up here in this pretty burgundy color. That's going to get the next pretty fill. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a moment. All right, you can see the beautiful fill up in the top left-hand corner, and now the piece beside it, the pink piece, is the next piece to get a fill. So let me take care of that. All right, you can see the pretty fill stitch up here in this one. The next one is this. I'm not going to run fill in here because it's so pretty. I don't want to run anything over it. Let's see where the next one. Okay, the next one is in the blue, and I'm going to go ahead and run that one. All right, you see the pretty fill on the light blue, and the next thing to get the fill, the next color, is this pretty color here, the greenish blue. I don't know what you'd call that, but so I'm going to let that run, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alrighty, the next fill is in the lower left corner, and that one I'm not going to put a fill in. And so let me skip ahead one step. Yes, that's the yellow, and I am going to put a fill there. So let me go ahead and run that. All right, you can see the lovely fill there in the yellow fabric. And now the last one we're going to do the fill is this purple here. So like I say, I'm not going to put a fill here, and I'm not going to put a fill up here either. So let me run this last one, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alrighty, you see this interesting fill here, and that's the last one we're doing. And a note here, I've gone back into the software, and I think I have fixed it where it will do, it will trim instead of doing a jump stitch. So that should be taken care of, so we don't have any jumps there. That's what I'm hoping, at least. So anyhow, the next thing we're going to do, we're done with the fills, and now we're going to do the beautiful stitching along the seams with the Crazy Quilt stitches. So I'm going to change to the gold thread and run those. And there's, I think, 6 of those or so, each in different steps, of course. So let me start on those, and I'm going to run them all, and I'll show you at the end what they look like. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, you can now see that all of the beautiful stitching has been done along the seams, and I really think it's just quite beautiful. The next thing that's going to occur is the machine is going to run and do a stitch to hold these pieces, individual pieces down. It's going to go and do this same stitch it did at the beginning where it runs along the entire perimeter and just does a running stitch. So it starts right here and ends right there. So let me do that, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, you can see that the gold stitch has been run around the entire perimeter, and I'm going to actually stop here for the evening. There's 2 more steps to go. If you are using this as a quilt block, then you are done anyhow. So you would simply take this off of the out of the hoop and remove the stabilizer, or well, you can just wait and cut it all off at one point. So you would do your trimming, deciding if you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance or whatever you're going to do. You would just trim this then down to whatever you would be using to put when you put your blocks together. So, but I'm going on and making this a mug rug like I've done with all the others. And so tomorrow when I pick back up, I will need to stick a piece of fabric on the back of the bottom of the hoop down under here, same size, about 9 by 9 to be my backing material, and it would go right side up. And then we would run this step 32, which is the next step, and then at that point we have to do some trimming. So before we run the last step, which is satin stitches. So anyhow, I'm stopping for the night and resume tomorrow morning. Thank you. Good morning. Resuming from yesterday, I have we're on step 32. We're about to run step 32, and as I told you, we need to put a piece of fabric, tape it down on all 4 corners, a piece of fabric large enough to cover the design, which this piece of fabric is 9.5 by 9.5. So it's quite a bit, it's certainly sufficient to cover the design, which you would see, but I've already taped it down. Well, no, I can't get under there. All right, so we're going to put this in the machine, and this is going to do a perimeter zigzag stitch, and then we're going to be trimming right up to the zigzag stitch on all of the pieces of fabric and batting. So let me put this in and start that. All right, you can see here where the zigzag has taken place, and I'm going to go in now with my scissors, and I'm going to trim all the way around right up to the zigzag. And then when I'm finished with the cotton fabric, I'm going to trim the batting right up to the zigzag, and then when I'm finished with that, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to trim right up to the zigzag here on the back. So that'll take probably 5-6 minutes or so, and after that I'll be right back. All right, I've trimmed the cotton fabric, so I'm going to move on to the batting. All right, you can see now I've trimmed all of the batting, so I'm going to turn over to the back and trim the back fabric. All right, now you can see I've trimmed the fabric on the back, so we're going to put this in and run step 33. Which we'll do the satin stitching. So we'll run the satin stitching all the way around, and I'll probably run it a second time if I'm not happy with what happens the first time, but anyhow, we'll start with the first time. Okay, it is finished. I did end up running this last step twice of the satin stitch, and I'm going to take and remove this from the hoop and use my very sharp Kai scissors to trim. And there's a little bit of, you can see a little bit of batting sticking out. Hopefully I can get rid of that. But just a side note, to me, the success in doing this is having the right equipment. And I'm talking about, in this case, scissors. And this is a Famore, Famore. You can find them online, and I have probably 5 pairs of other scissors like this, and they're useless. They wouldn't cut hot butter. But this is a real great cutter. And then I got this as a Christmas gift as a set of 3. I don't know how much they were. I don't think they were cheap. I'm thinking they were probably $150 to $200 for the 3 of them. But this thing will cut. It's amazing. It's the best. And I've got all those other kinds, and they don't hold a candle to it. So anyhow, I'm going to remove this from the hoop and trim it, and it's done. And I did not trim these. I did not trim. There's a couple stitches here where there was a jump, and I did not trim these jumps. So I think they look fine. I was afraid it would come undone if I trimmed them. And but I actually ran over it with the gold thread over the black just to see what that would look like. But anyhow, I would advise maybe not trimming. It's just a little tiny stitch right here, and it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't bother me. But hopefully it won't bother you. Anyhow, this is number 8, and I've already gotten 10 or 11 more done. And I think I'm going to just, this is going to be from now on the way these are made. Doing the piecing, doing the fills, and then doing the stitches, the crazy quilt stitches on the seams in that order. And so, like I say, they're all gonna, I don't think I'm gonna record a video for until I see a reason to do that, because they're all going to be made the same from now on in that order. So anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed watching me make this. I think this one is really beautiful. Come on, sharpen up there. Yeah, focus. Okay, and I thank those who continue to support me, and with words of encouragement and their purchases, and I just want to thank you, and you have a great day, and I shall be back soon, maybe with something other than this, but like I say, I think I'm going to make this the last one I'm going to do as far as this type of design, because I think this, what I've done, does it all. Shows you how to do it. So thank you so much. Have a good day.